Junkie Nation, we landed another superstar in the world of mixed martial arts. This time it's Modestas Bukauskas joining us here on the hotline, also known as Mo TV. And I just found out, Mo Money. I love those names. Welcome to the show, sir.
Hey, how's it going, mate? Thank you so much for having me on.
Man, what a great performance. What a great debut. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. You must be extremely happy and still probably on a high.
Oh, yeah, definitely. 100%, man. I mean, listen, I'm always looking after a fight, I want to keep improving. I want to get back into the gym and stuff like that. But yeah, like it literally couldn't have gone any better for me. I got to feel the lights, being under the UFC and stuff like that. They take such good care of you, wearing the UFC gloves and the Reebok fight kit. Yeah, it was absolutely amazing, man. Like I say, I'm just looking forward to continue having these amazing experiences with the biggest organization in the world.
Yeah. They talk about UFC jitters and things like that. And I'm sure that because of the pandemic, it's probably different, but it's different for everybody. But can you talk a little bit about the experience, flying to Abu Dhabi and then experiencing, all that protocol of the testing, knowing you have to lose weight, but maybe not under the most ideal conditions, and then getting to the fight. Kind of take us through that, and it must have been a little bit of a whirlwind. Was it stressful? Did you feel jitters?
Right. Well, I mean, listen, the whole experience, I enjoyed every bit of it. Like I said, it wouldn't have been quite the situation that it was if it didn't happen how it did. We had to be quarantined for 2 days in London. I mean, that was a bit of a horrific experience for me in terms of, they messed up my food orders and stuff like that. And, me trying to cut weight and, having to do, staying in a room by yourself pretty much for 2 days, trying to do little workouts here and there. That was a little bit stressful, but at the end of the day, it was no big deal just because I was already quite close to weight anyway. So, I just made do what I did, other than that, they treated us pretty well. But, like then going on the flight and stuff like that, having to do all these COVID tests. And then, I was very fortunate, being quarantined in my room with my dad. So obviously my head coach was right there with me, and we're best of friends. We get on so well. So yeah, we got to do our little workouts in the room and stuff like that. And I like the team that I brought with me is absolutely amazing. We had such a good laugh, as well as getting the job done and the business done. What I have to admit is crazy different to anywhere else that I fought is just how well they take care of the fighters. They just sort everything out for you. I mean, literally, even calling room service was an experience for me. Like, you got that 5-star hotel treatment, just call them up. They literally bring you up whatever you need and stuff like that. Everything was really good. Like the food was actually really quite healthy. They had stuff that was sort of made out to help the fighters a lot more than actually detract from it. And, like I said, the level of hospitality was second to none out there in Abu Dhabi. Like those guys, like literally, they know how to do it out there. And yeah, even in going into the fight, I mean, listen, I had to deal with a bit of an injury leading up to it, but like I said, I mean, you had the Performance Institute helping. I had my own nutritionist, Declan Walsh from Fight to Be Fit, was helping me as well. But they all collaborated together on getting me on weight and getting me on point. Like they literally leave no stone unturned. They want the best professional athletes in the world to go and compete, and they'll do everything they can in their power to make them, have the best performances. So, I saw the physio literally every single day. They gave me everything needed to rest up my leg and stuff like that. And then when it got into the cage, man, it was just like, it was amazing. Like I'd visualized it already, but I didn't feel as nervous as I thought I would. It was just like a normal everyday experience for me. I felt even if there was going to be a massive crowd, I'll feel exactly the same. And it was quite a nice little touch. Like like you're fighting in front of like a couple of people. It almost felt like Enter the Dragon style. Like you're fighting in front of a couple of rich people inside of a big cage. So yeah, it was absolutely amazing. Having Bruce Buffer call out my name, seeing Dana White, seeing like Paul Felder and stuff like that. And all these like top level names, Michael Bisping and stuff like that. It was absolutely amazing. Like I said, the whole experience in itself, I think I just embraced everything that came part of it. The part of the quarantine, the testing, and having to deal with a bit of adversity and stuff like that. So everything, I just enjoyed it because it just makes for a better story. And like the roller coaster was a very crazy one, and I absolutely loved all of it.
Well, I enjoyed hearing that because it seems like any adversity, you just dealt with it, and then you embraced and soaked up all the professionalism, and everything that they did that was on the positive side. Now going forward, a future camp and a future fight week is going to be like a breeze, honestly. I mean, compared to what you guys went through here.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. I mean, listen, I would like to go into a fight where I'm 100% healthy, and I seem to have this sort of routine of getting myself injured somehow, leading up to a fight and stuff like that. But listen, I guess it happens. I mean, I know it's not just me that goes through that. I know other fighters have to deal with those sort of things and just sort of just blow it off and get on with it. But yeah, I mean, with a fight, I was actually very fortunate as well in quarantine. I was able, because I have a gym at my house and everything. I was able to bring training partners in. My dad's my head coach, so he could train me and stuff like that. So really, in terms of the training, I got some really good training. It's just having to deal with like I say, injuries and stuff like that, and maybe not all the best nutrition at all times and stuff like that. But really and truly, yeah, like you said, if I can handle it with those circumstances, when it comes back to normal and everything goes back to how it is, it's just going to make me that much even better and more able to perform at an even higher level.
Well, DB, let me ask you something. You've piqued my interest. You talked about the injury, and it's not like you were on the losing side and you're using it as an excuse. You're just kind of telling us the story, and those are questions that we ask. But again, it piqued my interest. Was this something serious you were dealing with, or just little nicks here and there?
So, I mean, it was serious to the point where I couldn't train for about 4 days leading up to So it happened 2 weeks before the fight. Now, everything was absolutely fine. This is why it was sort of like an injury that is just serious enough to stop me from training, and I could not put any pressure like kneeling down at all. So, I mean, and this is the thing, it just happened out of nowhere. I was just doing my normal training. I was doing all my normal stuff. I may have banged my knee here and there on the floor whilst defending takedowns, but it's nothing big. Then did a bit of jiu-jitsu the other day, and again, you're on your knees quite a lot, so I was rubbing on the floor quite a lot, but doing everything as normal. And then one day it just blew up, man. Like it looked like a watermelon. It was bad. I mean, I'm very fortunate to have an amazing physio back at home. Her name's Leanne, and Distinct Physio is her company. She done a real good job, just literally tending to me straight away. She's supported me for a long time, and I got to thank her, because if it wasn't for her, I don't think I would have been able to sort out as quickly as I did. She saw it. We got the stems, the electro stuff that they do, electromagnetic waves and stuff like that. So it was just an injury that was more annoying than anything. It was like, it's not like I had a mechanical issue. So there was no issues with me bending my leg, doing this or that. It's just it would swell up massively, and I couldn't put any pressure on it kneeling down. So even when I was training and drilling, I had to basically not do any wrestling stuff for a whole week, or not do any jiu-jitsu stuff. It was just annoying, but all the hard training was done. You know what I mean? So all the hard stuff that I had to do leading up in the camp before that was already done. So that was a good thing. Like, I'd already put in the hard graft beforehand. I guess you could say I probably had to sort of tone down a little bit towards the end of the camp. But yeah, it was just an annoying thing. Like, not being able to kneel on the floor when you need to do jiu-jitsu, not being able to do all the takedown defenses, or you have to watch out for it because you don't want to knock it because it's hurting. It's just those sort of things. And then having to control the swelling as much as I could. So it was more annoying things than anything. Mechanically, though, I was absolutely good to go. But then obviously in the fight, you get kicked in the leg. It's not like going to be like a normal leg kick. The leg kick goes and then your leg blows up even more. So it's just something that, but now that I'm able to rest it, I know it's going to go away very fast. So it's just because I couldn't rest it, I couldn't get rid of it. But at the end of the day, I know, that sort of thing's not going to happen in the future.
Both of you guys had a little bit of swelling on your legs early on in this fight. Is this something that you feel like maybe if the fight would have gone a little longer, could have possibly been a factor?
I don't believe so. I mean, maybe I would have felt a little bit in between, but they usually put ice on it in between rounds and stuff like that. I genuinely feel that, you know, because I was moving so light on my feet, once I got my movement going and I was able to, you know, like I say, when I felt the movement, I didn't feel anything on my leg at all. It was only after the fight, obviously, I felt like my leg was swollen and this and that, you know, I really noticed it once the adrenaline came down. But I reckon in the fight, you know, in between rounds, they'll do what they have to do. And listen, at the end of the day, you have to adapt and overcome. You know, we would get on the ice on it in between the round, and as soon as I start jumping around and bouncing, that's why I was so very light on my feet. That was another reason, because I had to make sure that I just kept moving and kept circulating. So yeah, man, I think it would have been absolutely fine. Again, when you're in a fight, you don't really feel much, so it may have affected my movement a little bit, but yeah, who's to know now anyways.
Well, right away in watching your fight, the thing that I noticed in the very beginning, that little feeling out process, was your speed, your movement. You seem to have that type of advantage over your opponent. When you went back and watched the fight overall, how do you assess your performance? If you were to say A, B, or C, or 1 to 10, how did you feel about the way everything played
out? I felt I needed to try and control my range a little bit better. I was getting ready for that second round to start throwing a bit more of the heavy leather in terms of the kicks, because I didn't really throw too many kicks in that first round, because I had to feel the range. I had to feel the punching range a little bit better, because he actually evaded a lot better than what I'd expected. In fights, he sort of went backwards and he didn't evade punches as well. But I think it's because he was more getting into those exchanges and stuff like that. So I felt he evaded a lot of my shots a lot better than what I thought. So, credit to him and stuff like that. So he was light on his feet when he was moving away from shots. I started feeling the range a little bit better. I felt like, as the rounds would have progressed, I would have started letting things go a lot more, because my confidence was starting to rise up. I mean, I reckon I'll give myself a B for that performance, just because I know I probably should have moved maybe a little bit better, thrown a little bit more strikes, got into those exchanges a little bit more. So, in any fight, you're always going to think that you're going to or that you want to do better. So, like I say, I'll leave it at that. I feel like, having that opportunity when he came for the takedown, I did everything perfectly right in terms of takedown defense. And as soon as I heard my dad say elbows, 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 I was going to go in for, try and hurt him with those elbows, which I eventually did. So, yeah, man, a good performance, but I know obviously I can do a lot better.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but there was another sport that could have possibly taken you in another direction. Was it basketball?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Can you talk about how long you played, what position you played, and how close were you from that being your career?
Well, I mean, I started doing martial arts when I was 5 years old, and I'd been competing in kickboxing at the beginning. I won four British kickboxing titles, and even the last one that I won was, when I was 14, and I wasn't even training in it properly. So I could tell obviously always my talents were in fighting, but I stopped doing it seriously when I was about 11 to pursue basketball. And then I got to a point where I got good enough to where one of my coaches from England, he talked to a school that he had went to previously in the past, and the head coach was still there, and they showed tape, and they go, oh, okay, well, let's bring this guy over here in Louisiana. And I had a good run. I wanted to try and play in Division 1, for college basketball. I mean, I remember I took a little bit of a detour at one point. I went and played American football, and I actually started on the team, and I had quite a lot of tackles, and I think I had Division 1 schools sort of looking at me at that point, actually, and I only played half the season, and then I had to make the decision to where either I continue playing American football, or I'll go and go back to basketball, so that I could be in there in time for the season and the preseason and stuff. So because I came there for basketball, I thought, listen, I've got to concentrate on that. And listen, I had a very mixed season, that because I only had 1 year of eligibility. Some games I played really well, scored 20 points and did this and that. And then I sort of had a bit of a mixed bag in terms of performances. So I had schools, sort of see me, but I've only had like one Division 3 school that really sort of wanted me a bit more. And at that point I was like, well, I wanted to play Division 1. And then, I had the talk with my dad, and we decided, listen, it's probably best if we come back to martial arts and really give this like the best chance of you becoming a professional athlete, which was the eventual goal. So and to perform at the highest level. So really I could have went down that route, but to play Division 3, then try and get to Division 1. But at the end of the day, it was the main thing for me. I want to achieve at the highest level of the sport. And at that point, my dad, said, listen, you can do it in fighting. I know you can. So, and I figured, listen, he's going to be my head coach. He's going to, configure my whole career and all my training and stuff like that. So, I'm going to go back to fighting. So at the end of the day, it gave me a lot. It gave me a hell of a lot of athleticism. It gave me all these attributes that I would never have had if I stayed here in London. So I'm very thankful for that.
Man, my head is going to explode. I got so many questions. This is really, really interesting. Let's start with, you were born in Lithuania, but you live in England, right?
Yeah.
Didn't they have a really, really sharp shooter named Drazen Petrovic years ago? Is that the right guy? He played for the New Jersey Nets. Man, he was an outstanding shooter. But he may even be before your time, because it was in the late 80s when the Lakers had Magic and Kareem.
Right.
But yeah, Lithuania has produced some good basketball players. But at what age did you move to England?
When I was 3 years old. So it was actually quite early on in my in my young years. So yeah, I mean, that's why, obviously some Lithuanians find it a bit weird that I can't, that I've got such a strong British accent, and obviously, I can understand it quite okay, but I can't really speak it too well. But that's just because my parents just wanted me to really focus on learning English and really get good at that, because at the end of the day, most of the world, it understands everything from the English language. So we decided that I'll sort of concentrate a bit more on that. But even now, during quarantine and stuff like that, I was sort of focusing on learning my Lithuanian a bit more, and the support that I get from there is absolutely amazing. So yeah, I know I'll be able to be fluent at some point, but like I said, through quarantine I had more time to do so. So I'm still going to keep working on it. But yeah, I'm very patriotic about my heritage, being born in Lithuania.
Okay, next question. You're from Denham, Berkshire or something like that. I was reading, and it's in. Did I say that right? Sorry.
Buckinghamshire.
Okay, and I see that's kind of northwest London. So I have to ask you: A, do you have a side from football? That you support, a club you support, and B, God, at 6'3", if you can hoop and play American football, man, you must have been one hell of a center back if you ever did play football.
Yeah, do you know what? With American football, they were a bit hesitant because I never played before. They had to sort of had to figure out where I could play that was easy to understand. And defensive end was actually what I ended up playing. I wanted to play a linebacker, but they obviously, because there's so many things I had to learn. They just said, just stick me on defensive end, and then that was pretty much it. What was the other question? Sorry.
For soccer,
right.
I think you would have. I think you would have been like a Nemanja Vidic, like a real physical center back. Did you ever play any football at all? And also, who's your side?
Even right, yeah, my side, yeah. Right, well, ever since sort of I got my, I didn't really necessarily support a team or really follow a team that closely. I sort of just watched it and I just sort of enjoyed it. Obviously, I was then concentrating on basketball and fighting and this and that, so I never really probably supported a club. But ever since I got with my girlfriend, she supports Manchester City, so I decided to hop on that bandwagon. So I'm also now a Manchester City supporter. I played a little bit of football when I was younger, but not. I actually played a bit of defense, but I was always that kid that wanted to be the one who's the goal scorer and this and that. And I didn't realize that, listen, there's whole other sides to the game as well. You need to be able to defend, you need to be able to tackle and do this and that. And because I was always wanting to be a striker, I never really focused on defense at all or anything like that. It made me not really concentrate on football so much. I mean, who knows? I might have been all right at football, but yeah, like I said, that was just my vanity taking over me, wanting to be the center of attention.
That's interesting. Yeah. Well, all right. So you live in London, but you're a Manchester City fan. Goz and I are Manchester United fans, so we follow the English Premier League pretty closely.
Yeah.
And when I saw that your city, your town was kind of west. I thought, I wonder if he's a Chelsea fan. We actually lost to Chelsea yesterday, and it still stings. It's about 24 hours ago, but it still stings. No, this is cool. All right, and then in basketball, were you more of a shooter or did you have handles?
Well, I was able to handle the ball a little bit better. To be honest, when I went to high school in America, I had to play all positions just because we had such a small team. I mean, the tallest guy on our team was 6'5", and we were playing against teams with guys who 6'8", 6'7", and stuff like that. So, and because I was like the second tallest guy on the team, I pretty much played every position. In our team, it was a thing to just be able to play everywhere. So yeah, like I worked on my hand. I made it my thing to sort of be good at dribbling the ball, and yeah, shooting. I had good spots and bad spots. Do you know what I mean? I think I was the most inconsistent shooter ever. Like some days I'll just be on point, and some days I wouldn't. So, but one thing that sort of kept a bit more constant was being able to handle the ball. So I'd say that was probably my strength.
You know what I would have paid $1 million to see if I was a billionaire?
What's that?
You know when the teams come out of the tunnel and then they start to psych themselves up. Sometimes it's the whole team, or sometimes it's the defense and the offense. And you always got like a team captain that's in the middle saying, "This is our house. We're gonna beat them." You know, and you got to watch each other's back. You know, there's a lot of you've seen that what I'm talking about, right? In the NFL, I would love to see someone with a British accent say that. Okay, lads, right. Gather around now. You know, like I'd love to see how that would come off with the proper British accent, trying to hype up everybody. You know, I mean, just one time, I think it'd be hilarious.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I would love that. I can imagine going out into the field, like I don't know, maybe later on down the line, like have like the New Orleans Saints playing or something, and I'll just pop up around the corner. All right, let's go, guys. We got this. This is our game. Let's mess them up now. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, no, it'd be pretty funny. I can imagine. It'd be like watching like those old school like hooligan like films or whatever, and it'd be pretty much one of those guys inside the huddle. Yeah, I do feel the same way with you. I'd love to see how that would turn out.
Do you have a favorite hooligan movie?
Green Street.
Yeah, that one was good.
I love Green Street.
Football Factory. Did you ever see that one?
I have not. Did you know what? There's another one that it's got Danny Dyer in it, but I can't.
That's it.
Oh, is that it?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Really as a special bonus, not only was it a fight, it became a series where he traveled around the world to find the baddest firms, if you will. He went all over Europe. First he did just the UK, then he went all over Europe, and then he even went to South America. It was really, really cool. He did a really great job with it. So if you're ever on one of those long flights or you just have some time to kill in between practices, look that up. I think you'll enjoy it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Now that you mentioned that, I've definitely got to look it up.
Yeah, the UK did a great job of eradicating hooliganism. I mean, at least what it was, where it was really, really bad back in the 80s and 90s, and I'm sure there's stuff that's more underground now. But man, after seeing that series, seeing what happens in Eastern Europe and Italy and South America, wow! I mean, it is fanaticism. Now I know why that word "fan" it's from fanatics, and those are fanatics right there.
Oh yeah, no, proper. Those people like diehard fans of those clubs and stuff like that, and they really like they see it almost as like their own country almost. You know what I mean? They're like very patriotic towards their teams, and like you even see it now, like when you go on like the train again, when you see big games, like and you're on the train and you're going past like Wembley Arena or whatever. Sorry, not Wembley Stadium, and you're like going on the trains, and you see the clubs coming back, and like you see like the back and forth between fans and stuff like that on different carriages and stuff like that. So obviously it's not as bad in terms of like the violence and stuff like that, but you can still see like like it's great to have like that amount of support and stuff, but yeah, sometimes it gets a bit mad. They get very drunk and very rowdy and but I guess it gives people something to sort of be excited about and something to get behind. So it's an experience, it's an outing, it's a thing. Do you know what I mean? For them to go and watch these games. So it gives them something else, sort of to be excited about.
Hey, Mo Money, shoot us straight here since we're being having a great time here talking about football. Have you ever caught yourself in one of those little tussles outside the stadium as a kid, or even recently, just from everybody's chirping at each other. So you have one of those stories to share?
Nah, do you know what, funny enough, it's like you think, oh yeah, I'm a cage fighting this and that, but honestly, outside the cage, I'm an absolute goofball. Like there's literally, I'm the least violent person you can even imagine. Like I never really get into scuffles. If there's anything like going on, I'm sort of like that guy in the back who's sort of watching behind someone's shoulder, like peeking through or something, just to see what's going on. Yeah, so I've never. I mean, listen, the only times where I've got into tussles, I guess you could say, was in school, and that was about it. And even then, that was just because I guess more like I was kind of like the quiet, reserved kid that then everyone heard he does kickboxing, and everyone wanted to try and like I was that kid who was getting picked on, but then I had to sort of show him that it's probably not a good idea to pick on me, just from all the training that I've had. But yeah, no, unfortunately I've got no stories of anything going out on the streets. I usually stay quite reserved when it comes to that, and like I say, I'm usually just a bit of a goofball myself, so I never get myself into those sort of situations.
All right, fair enough. So let's just wrap up with one more MMA question. And thank you so much for joining us today. It's really been a pleasure getting to know you. What are the goals that you've set yourself? I'm not even going to talk about Jones or any of that stuff. It's you just had your debut. We're gonna take it slow. I'm sure you've already envisioned what you want to do, but can you give us a few goals that you've established for yourself, maybe that you want to hit in the next 12 to 24 months?
Yeah. So I mean, listen, I've got this whiteboard that I got at home, which I write down all the things that I want to happen. And, it's sort of, I use it as sort of like a vision board, and it's stuff that I want in the near future, or the things that I'm going to try and accomplish next within the next space of time. And, I actually had 2 things written out on that board that have already come true, which is to get the 50 grand bonus and give it to my mom and dad. So that is one thing that really meant a lot to me. That was something that I've been thinking about and dreaming about for ages. It's like, what it would feel like to give to your parents when they've been doing so much for you, and to give such a large sum of money. So for me, that was one thing I wrote on my board. I said to give my first bonus to them, and I've done that. Then I said to win the 50,000 bonus and to win the fight by knockout, and those things all happened. But on the other 2 things that I wrote on there, one of which was to have 3 fights this year. So I'm talking to get another 2 fights by the end of this year. Obviously, depending on injuries and stuff like that, and how quick my management can get me fights, that would be one big thing for me, is to have 3 fights this year. And then the second thing was to have 3 big wins. So with 3 big wins and 3 fights this year, that puts me in a great position to try and keep facing higher opposition, and to work my way up the ladder. I mean, listen, it's everyone's goal, sort of to be the UFC champion. But by next year, I want to be classified as sort of the top 15 guys in the world. You know what I mean? Like right now, I think I'm ranked like 49 or something. I want to be able to be in that top 15 by next year. And I know 3 big wins this year. Not only will it change my life financially and be able to give me more opportunities to be able to get even better and stuff like that, it can help me to help out my team and stuff like that. And then, like really work towards getting towards the upper echelons of the UFC by next year. And then, the year after that, that's where I want to really go for that title contention. So, like I say, slowly working my way up, slowly getting up the ladder to go out and try and take over this light heavyweight division now, which is getting stacked with a hell of a lot of talent. So we've got a lot of good guys now. So it's going to be very credible, when you go out and beat these guys and win. So, I can't wait for the challenges that I have ahead of me. I'm ready to go out and put on even more spectacular performances and go and work my way towards the top.
Well, you blew it, Modestas, because you gave us a great answer right there, which created a couple follow-ups. What was your parents' reaction? That's one hell of a surprise. Did they know it was coming, or did you surprise them?
Yeah, my dad knew it was coming. I told him already. My stepmom, she I spoke to her before the fight, and like right before I left to go to Abu Dhabi with my dad, I told her, I said, listen, for your birthday, I'm gonna bring you back 50 G's. And obviously I understand as a mum, she said, I just want you to do your best and this and that. I said, no, mum, I'm bringing you back 50,000. And I told my dad as well, so it's basically like their joint, sort of like for me just to give it to them. I told them beforehand, I said, I'm gonna do it. Like I wrote it down, I wrote it in a card. Like, you know what I mean? I visualized it. I said everything. And even after the fight, I said, I told you, Dad, I was going to get you that 50,000. I don't like breaking promises. So obviously I had to keep to my word. So I'm, like I say, how everything turned out is exactly how I wanted it all to turn out.
Man, that's awesome. Great story. That's so cool that you're on this journey with your family and immediately sharing one of the paybacks from all of your hard work. It's a team effort, you and your dad. And of course, I'm sure your family supports you in different ways. But that was great. And then the last one was you want to fight your future fights, but with no compensation. Did I hear you say that? Because I thought I heard you say free fights.
Oh, no.
I'm just kidding. I know that because I watch an English channel and of Manchester United, and when they win 3-0, they say free. So I've caught on with I fought. They changed the TH to an F.
Trust me, I used to get such a hard time in high school about that, man. Like, everyone used to make fun of me for that. And the thing is, I couldn't help it. I'm like, listen, this is just how I say it. And then it's funny because as it got to like the second year that I was living there, I actually started pronouncing it more like with the R behind it. But like I said, I think I've got too much of a sort of Cockney accent to probably to be able to pronounce everything properly like that. But yeah, trust me, I've had that since I was 16, man. So yeah, ain't a thing, man.
Yeah, no, I recognize it from years of watching the English Premier, the fan channels, and all that. But I figured, this is the one chance I can use that corny joke. Listen, Modestas Bukauskas, you are a really fun guy to interview. It's been nice getting to know more about you, and I mean, what a bright future you have in this sport. Great debut, and you're already planning and envisioning, and that's awesome and refreshing to hear. So keep doing your thing, mate, and hopefully we can catch up with you, pre and post fights along the way.